These are my top 10 most memorable smokes of this year. There's a reason why I call this my top 10 most memorable smokes of the year, and I don't do like a top 10 list. There's no particular order for these that I'm gonna mention. And look, the way I look at weed, everything is all subjective, right? I may absolutely love a strain that you absolutely hate, and that's okay, right? To me, weed is nostalgic the way a certain song could be for me. Meaning like sometimes I'll hear a certain song and it'll take me back to like a certain time in my life, if that makes sense. I can like think about certain strains that I smoked this year and almost tie them into certain memories. Let me know if I'm the only one who does that, but this is my top 10 most memorable smokes of this year. There's a ton of strains that I'm sure were fantastic that I didn't get the opportunity to smoke. So let me know what I missed down below and I should look out for. I've enjoyed a lot of strains this year that I also enjoyed last year that were on last year's list, and I didn't want to put any repeats on here. As I compile this list for you guys, just know there's reasons why it's memorable for me. I wouldn't look too deep into it. It's really not that deep. If you want to share your list down below, I'd be curious to know what you think. Starting off strong with probably one of the most hype packs of the year, I gotta give credit to Toad Venom. This is Animal Face times Sin Mints. To me, this strain was like rotten oranges mixed with like a limey gas, and probably the most memorable part of this smoke for me was definitely the high. I remember smoking it for the first time on 420, being absolutely blown away with how heavy the effects were. I of course enjoyed the smoking experience and the taste, but the most memorable part, and I think back to like my whole year, right? What is probably one of the times I got the most stoned from doing a review, Toad Venom is definitely at the top of that list. I know a lot of people who love it. I know people who don't like it at all. To me, definitely a memorable smoke. What do you think? All right. Moving on, Zushis by Exotic 916. Definitely wanted to highlight some strawberries and cream terps because I definitely am a fan of like that strawberry, milky, creamy kind of taste. There's some other examples that I can definitely shout out that are really great, like the BTY Fresa or the Fresas con Crema by Fidel's. But when I think back to, okay, if I had to narrow down which one stood out to me the most this year, to be fair, I added the Fresa on my list last year by BTY, but the Zushi was one I really enjoyed. And I also specifically remember taking a dab of the rosin of this particular strain, and that was even more tasty than the flower itself. But overall, this was definitely a strain this year that I would say was a standout. Up next, I had to show love to the Lem 2 by Don't Be Weird. Yet another strain that checked all of the boxes for me. This one had a really strong nose. I described it like an ice cold mojito flavored juice. Definitely a strain that I also remember looking back and thinking like, damn, that one really got me really stoned. Very heavy high. Lem 2 is absolutely fire. If you see it in the wild, do yourself a favor, pick it up for sure. Next, I had to give some love to Deep East. I am a fan of Zope. One of my favorite strains of all time. You can never go wrong with a good batch of Zope. Anytime I could pick up on any Zope, tropical Zope, lime Zope, regular Zope, and it's a fresh batch from Deep East, I always do, because you know what? It's just always a great smoke that checks all the boxes for me. It's like a lemon scented laundry detergent. Absolutely fire. A perfect balance between the Zope and the lemon terps. It's lemon guava times Zope. If you haven't tried this one yet and you're a fan of Zope, you're doing yourself a disservice. Shout out to Deep East. Absolutely fire. Zozy number 11 is probably some of my favorite terps all year long, hands down. This is the Lemon Tree times Zoa times Skittles. Absolutely fantastic flavor on this one. I still smell the smell in my nose when I think about it, if that makes sense. Like, it just smelled like a nice like juice, man. It was such a wonderful smell, and it translated to the flavor. Lingering terps for sure. Definitely a standout for me. I've enjoyed a lot of Tenco strains. Last year they had a few on the list. When I think about, you know, all the Tenco strains that I've tried this year, I haven't tried a few that I've missed, but I will get my hands on them ASAP. Zozy number 11 along with one other, which you'll see soon. Absolutely standouts for me, and shout out to Tenco. Crunch Berries. This one was definitely a memorable strain for me this year for a couple of reasons. For one, this one really brings nostalgia to me more than anything, if that makes sense. We smoked a lot of Crunch Berries during this San Francisco trip that me, my wife, my brother, and Chris, my cousin, and it was just a really fun, awesome trip. We went out there for Hollow Flowers, but we ended up only just going one day, and we spent the rest of our time there just doing just other stuff, and honestly it was a really great time. Really fun family trip. But aside from that, I'm not trying to make this strain, I'm not trying to just take away credit from the strain itself. Look, growing up, Captain Crunch was one of my favorite cereals, and the Crunch Berries to me literally tasted like a freshly poured bowl of Captain Crunch cereal. It's almost like you could taste the cereal notes, you could taste the mixed berries, you could taste like that milky cream, if that makes sense. Absolutely fire smoke. It wasn't the smoothest, but overall smell, taste, especially they'll be able to dial that down, I do believe. Crunch Berries was fire, man. I know a lot of people loved it as well. Some people didn't like it at all. Curious to know what you think. Backpack Boys, Doja, Fire Farmer, The Finest Farms, they did their thing on this one. Vaparu by BTY. Talk about an absolutely fire strain. Super gassy, really loud strain that opens up your nostrils literally like a Vicks inhaler would when you take a whiff. You smell like the minty menthol kind of notes. It has like a piney creaminess to it. Very fire. Gets me super high, really heavy. I think dropped 2 reviews of the Vaparu this year, which is probably like the only strain that I did like individual reviews for 2 separate times, 2 separate batches. Nothing but good things to say. Shout out to BTY. Now for this next one, it's kind of hard for me to pinpoint off of memory which one was my favorite, but I had to give credit and show love to the Flower District, distributed by Ted's Buds, by the way, for what they did with their 3, I think it was only 3, I don't know if I missed any, so let me know if I did, but their 3 UK cheese cross drops that they did this year. It all started for me early on in the year when I had the chance to smoke on the Swiss goat cheese. It was a UK cheese times RS11, and then you had the Big Buddha Gouda, the Gorgonzola, and to be honest with you, it really played a part in me really like wanting to experiment and explore more cheese crosses this year. You'll see the next one, by the way, which is also a cheese cross. But I wanted to show them love, man, because you know what? This is probably some of the only cheese, at least that I know of, that you can actually pick up in dispensaries this year. Let me know if there was any other that I missed, but I think that was pretty cool that they did that. This really opened up my excitement for the future of me and trying more cheese strains, and I'm really hoping that a lot more cheese will come out this year. I haven't really had an original straight UK cheese yet, which I am looking forward to. But with that being said, oh, well, I thought this next one was my last one, but I have one more. But with that being said, I'll just let that lead me into the next one right here. Probably some of my most unique favorite terps that I smoked this year. Again, I'm not ranking these amongst each other, so that's neither here nor there, but Cheesebanger by the Tenco. This really was probably some of the best cheese that I've had so far in my short experience with cheese. And again, shout out to the Flower District for opening up my curiosity into wanting to try more cheese. But this one was just super fantastic. I mean, I remember like just cracking the jar open. It was like a funky, potent cheese. You crack into the nugs, blueberry milkshake, straight charcuterie board terps, absolutely fire. Backed up with a super heavy high. So definitely some really great smoke, lingering terps, absolutely fire. So Tenco this year has 2 on the list, Zosie 11, Cheesebanger. Have you tried them? If you haven't, especially this one, I would say give it a shot. Absolutely fire. Definitely a big fan of it. And with that being said, the absolute last of the 10, I had to show some love to Fidel's with the Grape Lemon Z. This one was another one that tastes like lemon cake, but it had like a fruity grape twist to it. Really nice high, burned absolutely fantastic. I do remember this one being like one of those strains that I think I only ashed twice. Fire, absolutely fire. Really great strain. Very great execution by Fidel's on this one. Absolutely fire. And with that being said, that is my top 10 most memorable smokes of 2024. What do you guys think about my list? Again, it ain't that deep. This is just my experience. I think you can't go wrong with any one of these strains. So I would encourage anybody watching this, if you haven't tried anything on this list, go out there for yourself, give it a shot, and formulate your own opinion. Thank you for watching the reviews. I'll catch you guys on the next one.
I need my weed to smell good, but taste better. I need the nose to translate the straight flavor. And it also got a pack of punch to it. Expand my lungs when the smoke starts to run through 'em. I need the weed that make me feel good when my mood is ruined. I'm pursuing all the best weed this world has to offer to us. All the best weed this world has to offer to us. All the best weed this world has to offer to us.